Hello, this is my personal health assignment for Personal Growth 120, Summer 2018. I'm going to talk about some health issues and concerns that could potentially affect me, and then after going over what these issues are, I'll talk about some ways to combat them. So without further ado, let's start. Contact dermatitis. Now, contact dermatitis is when you have an allergic reaction to a substance that you touch and come in contact with. Some of the common symptoms are dry, flaky skin, hives, redness of skin, extreme itchiness, swelling, darkened or leathered skin. Some of the known common factors to agitate this are jewelry made with nickel or gold, latex, poison oak, poison ivy, perfumes or chemicals in skincare product, and wool. For me personally, it's wool. Whenever I put on a wool jacket or blazer, any skin that is exposed to the wool will break out into like a rash, and it'll be really red, really itchy. The more I itch, then the more it gets puffy and red, and sometimes it'll even bleed. The best way to combat this is to, one, avoid any substance that you know you're allergic to. And if you can't do that, then whenever an area does get agitated, you should clean it with warm water and soap. And apply petroleum jelly, either Vaseline or A&D, to the infected area, or an anti-itching treatment. So asthma or bronchial asthma is when the bronchial tubes are inflamed and they increase production of sticky mucus in the tubes. Some of the symptoms are shortness of breath, pain in chest, tightness of chest, coughing attacks. Common flare-ups are exercise-induced, occupational, or allergic-induced. The best way to combat this, honestly, if you aren't born with it, is to not smoke. Take good care of your body by working out, making sure you keep a tab on your intake and your your activities. You can't just be lying around. But if you are born with it, you have to make sure that you always have an inhaler. You don't want to be in dry, cold air. You want to make sure when you're out and about, if it's a springtime and there's a lot of pollen and spores, you don't want to be around that area. You want to pretty much avoid it. The longer you stay in the area, the more dangerous it is. So avoidance, again, is the key for asthma. If you aren't born with it, or if you are born with it. High blood pressure affects many Americans. That's no exception to my family. Now, blood pressure is, the normal one is 120/80, and it's natural to have elevated blood pressure every now and then. We all live stressful lives. But when your blood pressure starts getting higher, is the 130/80, or the 140/90, or even the 180/120, then it becomes life-threatening. And the reason why is because your heart is working at a harder level to pump the blood throughout your body. But because it's working so much harder, that can create the hardening of arteries, strokes, kidney disease, and even heart failure. Some of the causes are smoking, lack of physical activity, being overweight, high salt intake, stress, old age, sleep apnea, and thyroid disorder. So some of the ways you can combat it right off the bat: don't smoke. And if you do smoke, quit smoking. If you're overweight or have lack of physical activity, you got to get out more. So being physical, having a healthy lifestyle, and don't eat a lot of things that are high in sodium can contribute also. Old age, everyone gets there, but if you can stay physical and watch what your intake is, you should be fine. Sleep apnea also, we all have been there. Can't go to sleep, just go on YouTube or what other sites that we like and just keep it going, and then end up being 5 o'clock in the morning, you gotta go to work. Just go to sleep. So thyroid cancer affects women more so than men on a 3-to-1 ratio. And I guess that makes sense in my case because most of my family is women. Now, most of the time, thyroid cancer, it's the most treatable of the cancers, and it's not as, I don't want to say it's not as serious, because it is cancer, but we all have the thyroid nodules, and most of us, it's benign. And if it does become cancerous, unlike most cancers, this one is a lot easier to treat. Now, there's different symptoms: swelling of the neck, lump in the neck, trouble swallowing, trouble breathing, constant coughing, and then your voice can change. You can get a lot more raspier and hoarse. The way to make sure you don't get thyroid cancer, it's hard because like I said, everyone has the thyroid nodules, so you can't stop that. The only thing is, once you start getting these symptoms, you should go see a doctor, because then they can properly identify if it is cancerous or not, and they'll be able to remove it. There is no one-trick health tip to make it so that you won't ever develop thyroid cancer. There's a good chance you won't, but if you do, it's fairly easy to treat. And these are some of the sites that I visited to get this information about thyroid cancer from American Cancer Society. Allergic contact dermatitis, asthma and asthma attack center, asthma by the Mayo Clinic, causes of high blood pressure by WebMD, contact dermatitis, cause, symptoms, and treatment by Healthline, high blood pressure, hypertension, Midline Plus, and thyroid cancer. I hope you all enjoyed this. Have a wonderful day.